Today, we're diving into the ideas of a really fascinating thinker, Dr. Narasimhaiah. We're going to explore what his incredible courage to ask tough questions can teach us, especially in the super noisy, chaotic world we live in right now.
You know, this line from our source material just hits so hard. Saturated with information, but starved of reasoning. I mean, think about it. We have all the data in the world right in our pockets, more than any other time in history. But does that actually make us any better at thinking? That's really the big question we're tackling today.
And that leads us right into our first section, drowning in information. Let's try and figure out why our world feels so overwhelmingly noisy and what actually happens to our brains when all that noise starts to drown out any kind of clear thought.
So, what does this information sickness actually look like? Well, here are the symptoms. It's kind of wild, right? We have these incredible technologies, we're sending rovers to Mars, but at the same time, superstition and pseudoscience are exploding online. And you've seen it, right? Real civil debate is pretty much gone, replaced by shouting matches. A big one is our education systems. They're churning out what the source calls credentialed non-thinkers, people who are great at memorizing facts for a test, but not so great at reasoning. And maybe the biggest symptom of all, genuine curiosity is being replaced by instant outrage.
This puts it perfectly. It's like we're in this super fast car, racing into the future. But somewhere along the way, we've just tossed our compass right out the window. We've got all this momentum, but absolutely no idea where we're going. So, how do we find our way back?
Well, that brings us to our next section, the man who questioned. This is where we might just find a guide for our times. And that guide is Dr. Narasimhaiah.
So, who was this guy? He was this incredible mix. A Gandhian physicist, which means he had this deep moral core, but he paired it with a strict scientific way of looking at the world. As a vice-chancellor of a university, he actually used his position to go after superstition. As a rationalist, he saw blind belief as a kind of social disease that needed a cure. And as an educator, he thought that clear thinking wasn't just a skill, it was our moral duty.
And this right here, this is one of his most powerful ideas, all packed into one amazing quote. An open mind is not an empty mind. What he meant was, being open-minded doesn't mean you just let any old idea come in and set up shop. No way. It means you have strong filters built from logic and evidence. An empty mind, he warned, just becomes a trash can for whatever propaganda or bad ideas someone wants to dump in there.
Okay, so this gets us to the absolute core of our explainer today. Lessons for a noisy world. We're going to take his philosophy and basically turn it into a practical toolkit, one that we can all use to think a little clearer. His central concept was something called scientific temper. Now, don't get hung up on the word scientific. This has nothing to do with being a scientist in a lab coat. He saw it as a moral discipline, an ethical posture toward reality. In other words, it's a deep commitment to finding the truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable. It's about character, not credentials.
And this is why his ideas are so freakishly relevant right now. The source draws this brilliant comparison. The problem hasn't gone away, it's just changed its clothes. The godmen he was worried about back then, today they're influencers. The miracles that defied explanation, now we have the mysterious magic of algorithms. And blind faith has just been rebranded as virality. This really dangerous idea that if a lot of people are sharing something, it must be true.
So how do we even begin to fight back against this? Dr. Narasimhaiah had a really clear blueprint. Number 1, we need more dialogue, less monologue. 2, we need to value reasoning over just simple recall. And 3, we've got to encourage real inquiry over blind obedience. It's all about raising citizens who can actually think for themselves, not just parrot back what they've been told.
And he also had a pretty strong message for those of us who feel like we know better. This quote is a powerful call to action. He basically argued that when people who are informed and educated see misinformation spreading and they just stay quiet, well, that silence isn't neutral. It's actually a kind of betrayal.
So all of this brings us to our final section, our turn to ask. Because his legacy really leaves us with a pretty stark choice, a choice between two very different futures. The first choice we have to make is picking inquiry over outrage. You know how it is, right? Outrage is easy. It's contagious. It spreads like wildfire online. But genuine inquiry, asking real questions, that's slow. It's demanding. But it's the only way we'll ever get to any real understanding.
The second choice is just as vital, choosing reason over rhetoric. Rhetoric is designed to seduce you, to pull at your emotions. Reason is about persuading you with evidence and logic. See the difference? One just wants your loyalty, the other wants your genuine understanding.
And the last choice is about compassion over conformity.
Conformity is easy. It just demands that everybody gets in line and thinks the same way. But real compassion, that's about respecting someone's basic human dignity, especially when you disagree with them. It's about engaging with people who are different, not shutting them down.
So we'll leave you with this final thought, which really wraps it all up. A society that fears questions has already surrendered its future. It puts a pretty sharp choice in front of all of us, doesn't it? Are we going to be brave enough to ask the hard questions, or are we just going to give up the very thing that makes progress possible? The choice, really, is ours.